This episode of the Smoke Pit brought to you by the Nut Ruck by Arbor Arms.
The tactical fanny pack for your nuts and your butts.
Check it out at arborarms.com. Tell them the Smoke Pit sent you. Welcome to the Smoke Pit.
Hey.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm well, buddy. How you doing?
I have got to say that the last few episodes have been kind of heavy, so...
Yeah, no, let's fucking lighten this shit up.
Fuck yeah, man. So, first thing that is on the docket is we want to talk about some of the feedback that we got from our last episodes that were super heavy.
All right.
Yeah. So, the interesting thing about that is we want to expand a little bit on something that a lot of people picked up on. In fact, that the when you post something, you're either subject to ridicule or being scrutinized.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that has inherently kind of made, Mike and myself, other people who kind of are more visible on social media inherently skeptical.
1,000% yes.
Because if people send you stuff, it's like you're responsible for what you post. And, say I, post a meme or like a fact sheet or something and it's incorrect. Now I just misled however many tens of thousands of people that see it, or hundreds of thousands,
Yeah, exactly. I talk about all the time, like, social media isn't real life. It has the word media in it, and media is not to be trusted for the most part, even though we're a part of Pop Smoke Media, and we don't want to not be trusted. So actually, I always fact check stuff, and usually I don't repost stuff people send to me because I don't care. So
No, just the least bit of caring.
Yeah, none.
No, so like it inherently, like if you post something and you didn't do the research, you just posted it out of anger or passion, you're responsible for that misinformation. You actually become part of the problem.
Absolutely, 100%.
So we inherently have to be very cautious with what we post because there is a bit of visibility there, and I think that the more people who felt that obligation to do that would I think that would make the world a better place. Yeah,
there's consequences for your actions in real life and on social media, so I think it's good that you're speaking to it.
And I also feel that the old parable that if you correct a fool, they will hate you, but if you correct a wise man, they will love you for now that they are more wise.
Oh, is that really a parable? Did you just make that up?
No, that's from the Bible.
The what?
God wrote that.
God wrote that.
Yeah. That's why it's so wise.
That's so wise.
Yeah, but you kind of have to ask yourself: do you have a hesitation to kind of engage something or learn something because you're afraid you might be wrong? And a lot of people don't listen with the intent of understanding. They just listen with the intent of responding.
Interesting.
They're like a horse at the gate. They just want to get out and they just want to say what they have to say and fire back. They want to win the argument. They don't want to learn.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to learn, but everybody wants to teach. So
yeah, and that's a fucking good point, Mike Sensi.
Thank you.
Mike fucking Sensi.
I'm done for the day.
Go out on a high note.
That's right.
George Costanza.
I'll be in the bathroom.
Yeah, and so the consequences of being a little bit more visible is that you recently had several articles published about you being a catfish.
Yep. I'm not a catfish. You got to stop doing that.
You are from the rivers of the Mississippi.
That's right. Yeah. And if you stick an arm in the water, I will chug on it.
Particularly if you have a little bit of beer on your fingers.
That's right.
You'll bite right on it. And so because of that, people feel like you either owe them something or that they know you. Mm-hmm. And it can get a little bit more difficult because, we all say shit that's dumb.
Yeah, I do it almost exclusively, yeah.
We all bullshit and we all, tell bad jokes. Sometimes you tell jokes with the intent of just making somebody roll their eyes.
You do that constantly. That is our entire relationship.
That's kind of my thing. I'm like, hey, Mike, eat a vegetable. And he's like, poof, poof.
Yeah, my eyes roll and then I pass out because I don't eat vegetables.
Well, also to be fair, if you only consume 500 calories a day, all through vodka, that's why you're in such good shape.
I'm always ready for a photo shoot.
Yeah, your metabolism is on fuego.
Un fuego.
Oh, you're always ready for a photo shoot?
Except for when you ask me to do it.
Except for when you have a hand-tailored Italian suit in your closet that I've been asking you to do a photo shoot with.
I feel awkward doing a photo shoot by myself.
Well, would it make you feel more comfortable if you weren't wearing an undershirt?
Probably, yeah. The less clothing I have on is the more comfortable I feel doing photo shoots.
Yeah, I've seen enough of your underwear photo shoots to know.
I should release those pictures.
I really think you should.
I don't know.
Just watermark them, please.
Nope. They were used to catfish.
And so I can't wait to see that. It'll probably be posted on the Espeto Instagram. You'll see Mike Sensi being a little hot boy,
Being suave, yeah.
Yeah, with his sunglasses on, his chest hair out.
That's right. I don't have a lot of chest hair, so we might have to
All three.
Photoshop that in.
A gaggle of chest hair.
Just a little taco meat at the top.
Yeah, so always ready for a photo shoot, unless
you ask me to do it, yeah.
Which I kind of feel like that is a bit of your personality, is that you are impossibly difficult to work with.
I am.
When requested.
I'm like Sean Penn. I'm brilliant, but impossible.
If somebody wants you to do something, then your interest in that thing goes down dramatically.
Absolutely, yeah. When I'm told to do something, my knee-jerk reaction is to not do it and do the opposite of that.
And has that always been the case, or is that a more recent maturity thing?
I think the older I get, the more cynical I get. So I think that's what it is. But I've always been a little stinker at heart. So anytime someone wants me to do something, I usually don't do it, or I do a poor job. I'm just a bad person.
That makes sense. Do you feel that you have become more or less cynical since becoming more visible on social media?
I mean, on social media, I feel like I've been less cynical, but in real life, I think I've become more cynical. So it's quite the Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing. So,
well, Jekyll and Hyde is just you drunk and sober. It's not a magic potion, my friend. It's a Guinness.
Whatever. God, I want a Guinness. That sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, so I feel like I've become more skeptical because there are so many people out there that want to take advantage of other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, they just want to get theirs while they can, fuck everyone else. And generally being a kind-hearted person, which I'd like to believe that the majority of our listeners are.
Sure.
They can relate to this, that it's a different kind of fucking wound when you are legitimately trying to help someone and then they fuck you.
Yeah, 1,000%. No, I, like most people, probably don't know about my personal life, but I've aligned myself in the past with people who say they have my best interests in heart, and like I want to help them, they want to help me, blah blah, but it's just being used. Like, that's kind of why I become cynical in my older age, because I've just seen too much of it, and so now I'm more hesitant to do something to help another person. Not that I don't want to, I just know that usually it doesn't end well.
No, I get that, and it's kind of a different kind of fucking sting, because you're like, if I had taken everybody's advice, or if I had trusted my better judgment, then I wouldn't be in the circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to stuff like that, usually the gut instinct is, this is wrong, this doesn't feel right, but I usually push past that and kind of do what I think I should be doing instead of what I know I should be doing, which I feel like a lot of people do to kind of protect themselves or to protect the people that they're with. So always trust your gut is the moral of the story.
Well, I feel like with the amount of hot wings that you eat, that's usually how your gut feels. This is wrong, I don't like this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm usually just on the toilet all day.
Just blowing it up.
That's right.
But so, you have that happen. Then you have a choice. Do you... Not the only one. You have the choice. Do you become more cynical, or do you allow yourself the opportunity to be damaged again?
Yeah. No, I think everything kind of does happen for a reason, and there is always room for growth, no matter how painful the situation is or how beneficial the situation is. Always learn, always grow, keep doing the damn thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that again, back to the point of what it's like once you have more of a spotlight on you. If you make a bad decision, you'll get hammered more than other people would for that decision.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you align yourself with somebody who is a piece of shit and things go sideways, particularly if it was someone else who was in the community, now, if they're saying things that are false or whatever the case is, you're more likely to have more people come against you.
Very true. Very true.
So the idea of, Dan with X amount of followers versus Dan with like 300 followers.
Right, exactly.
Who is going to have more stress come of that? And so to kind of wake up day in and day out and continue to put yourself out there, be judged by people who, or have either hate in their heart from their own insecurities or jealousy or past experience, and have those people just naturally come against you, and then people who are looking to take advantage, like, it's I'm not trying to say like, oh, poor me or whatever,
Right,
because
yeah.
obviously, like if I'm looking for sympathy, I'll go to the 2 wars I fought. But
Fought and won.
well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I made it. My KD ratio is pretty good.
Hey.
But so like the idea that we get these amazing messages of people say that we help them, or that they were thinking about ending it all, but they thought they sought therapy, or that they play our podcast at the beginning of meetings, and that's motivation. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported us and really given us a reason to continue to push through the people who just try to shit on everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. The best hearts will always show through at the end, so I do appreciate it, and thank you.
Yeah, so let's get away from that nonsense.
we said we're not going to make this episode heavy, and now we're just like crying because we're so thankful.
So, just to throw this out there.
Yeah.
Pandas.
Okay.
You know that they have a population problem.
They do.
Do you think that they would be a little bit more randy if we put some Strikeforce in their bamboo?
Listen, well, okay. They would definitely have more energy to make other pandas, but I don't know giving Panda Strikeforce is ethical, especially like tampering with their bamboo, which is like their favorite thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it would taste good because grape Strikeforce goes good in everything.
Yeah. Discount code SmokePit
Hey.
at strikeforce.com. No, I just think that maybe those little bastards weren't so lazy. I wouldn't have to donate $1 every time Sarah McLachlan guilts me into it.
She's the worst.
Just the worst.
Tired of being guilt tripped out of 99 cents. just a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Where are you paying 99 cents for a cup of coffee?
That's my question. All these things are like for less than a cup of coffee. Like, what kind of swill are you drinking? Like, you need to upgrade your coffee game. And then probably you'd be happier and feel less guilty about the panda population.
Yeah, I was at the grocery store. Goggles, face mask, hand sanitizer, napkins, sanitizing wipes, all that stuff.
Banana in your butt.
Well, I paid for that one, all right? And I see a sign that's like, for $1, we can provide 6 meals to like battered children.
Yeah.
And my first thought was like, why the fuck can't I make 6 meals for myself for $1?
That's kind of how my budget is anyway. So you absolutely can if you divide the chicken nuggets up.
Bro,
throughout
I've
the day.
seen your DoorDash history. You pay $55 for a burrito. Like, you're a good tipper.
In my defense,
taxes, delivery fee.
In my defense,
guacamole. That's like $40 right there.
It's a lot. Yeah. No, I definitely overpay for food. But if I want to spend $50 on a burrito, I feel like I've earned it.
No, I get that. And so my first thought was like, okay, like, how can I feed myself? And then I was like, wait a second, you're probably like 3 times the size.
Yeah.
So you'll get 2 meals for $1. That's still a value, though.
It takes 7 battered children to equal 1 dam.
No, the battered children's shelter that I was in, they would always give us Danables and like little Dunkaroos.
Yeah.
Gusher snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, we were easily eating like $10 a day just in snacks.
Yeah, that's pretty. Those are pretty A1 snacks, actually.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's mainstream snacks.
It's like, all right, you little bastard.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been through enough.
Have this Dunkaroo, you bum.
You piece of shit. No one loves you. That's why you're here. A little bit of light into my past. So the other thing that I found out, because I did a little bit of research, is 80% of the world's population survives on less than $10 US a day.
Interesting.
Yeah, 80% of the world's population. Because if you think the continent of Africa has like 1 billion people,
right?
India and China, that's like a little over 2 billion combined right there. So that's half the world's population right there.
Yeah.
And those are areas that have a fair amount of poverty. And you look at the rest of Southeast Asia, and so 80% of the world's population survives on less than $10 US a day.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So you're saying Steve Bezos could buy everybody on Earth a Go-Gurt and really help the world?
Yes, if I use Twitter math.
Yeah. It's fucking Twitter math.
Yeah, America's millionaires could give everyone $1 billion and still have enough left over for a Happy Meal.
Yeah, it's true.
Twitter math.
Yeah, it's true. Twitter math. Math from Twitter.
If you disagree with this, you're a piece of shit.
That's right. Which should be the tagline for Twitter.
No, every time I wake up and I have more than like 5 notifications on Twitter, I'm always just like super anxious that I somehow got canceled for something that got misconstrued or blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
Oh, he left a dangling preposition. Canceled.
He's racist.
Dangling prepositions have a deep history.
Oh my God. I'm sure Twitter would find something like that.
No, so I'm always super worried about that.
And that's fair. That's totally fair. Because people, like we said, people online are usually at their worst selves. So anytime you do something that you feel is inherently good or trying to help somebody, there's always at least 20% of the people seeing that saying, no, fuck that, I'm going to make this bad.
And I think maybe 30% of it is seeing how people rage on social media. The other 70% of it is anxiety from the military for when you oversleep by 5 minutes and you have 47 missed calls and staff NCO kicking down your door.
Exactly, yeah. No, I'm always ready for somebody to come in my apartment and say, you're late. How'd you get in here?
I think my favorite is that a PFC came knock on my door, and I was a squad leader at this point, and he's clearly out of breath because he sprinted the whole time from the quad up to the barracks.
If a PFC is not running, he's wrong.
No, he's fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Correct yourself.
Exactly.
And he knocks on the door. He's like, Sergeant, the staff sergeant says you're late. And I was like, okay, boo, go away.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I put on my cover. I walked down, and my lieutenant, my staff sergeant, are like, nice of you to join us, Sergeant Sharp. I'm like, oh, sir, staff sergeant. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're late for formation. And I looked around, and I was like, is the CO here?
Yeah.
And like, no. Like, did I miss the formation? They're like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I late? And they're like, oh, well, you should be here 15 minutes prior. And I'm like, the formation was at 1600. It's like 17 minutes prior right now. Like I came down here with 2 minutes to spare.
Yeah, no, but you need 15 minutes to the 15 minutes, especially if you're in a senior billet. So you should have been there 3 hours prior.
Yeah, and then so insult to injury, the CO was half an hour late.
Of course, of fucking course.
Yeah, and I'm like super glad that I was here 17 minutes early.
Yeah.
For a formation that was 30 minutes late.
Oh my god.
Sharp.
Yeah, exactly. Just for the CO to go, okay, be good, gents. I'll see you later.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
And then the CO, his job is to stroke you off, tell you how great the unit's doing and how proud he is of you. And then as soon as he leaves, first sergeant's like, I don't care what he said. Everybody's a piece of shit. Drop blouses.
Yeah. First sergeant, don't you have a wife to go home to? I hate her.
No, she's on this run too.
Exactly. Yeah, she's in the back.
She's in the back. She got a rucksack on.
She's pregnant.
Wearing his oversized ICB boots. I hate her too.
Yeah, I'm making her hike with us.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't care what the CO said. In my 17 years, I've never seen a worse unit.
Oh my god. Yeah, it is true. It is funny that like people who are directly in charge of you, mainly enlisted, once it comes their time to talk, if they don't decide to piggyback, which they will, if they don't decide to directly piggyback, they'll just tell you how everything they said is wrong and how you all suck. So it is a weird, humbling experience. I feel like it's not needed sometimes, but that's user preference, I guess.
No, I totally can imagine how things would have went if, like, next time you see the CO, he's like, hey, Sergeant Sharp, how you doing? He hands me a $50 bill or whatever officers do.
Yeah, they just hand out money.
And he's like, how's it going? I'm just like, sir, I just have a moral dilemma that I need your guidance on.
Yeah.
And for all you young pups out there, asking somebody above you for guidance is the best way to, like, start a conversation, because immediately their dick gets hard.
Yeah, I've trained my whole life for this one
mentorship
moment. Absolutely. Yeah,
they prepared me for 4 years in ROTC for this moment.
They have like their cutlass just in the air, just having lightning strike it.
Or if it's chief, they put their wait, no, chiefs get cutlasses, right?
I believe so. I honestly don't know. I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And then like the NCOs and the Marines get like the NCO sword.
That's right.
Yeah, they just put the finger guard around their penis and start helicoptering it.
It's time for mentorship.
That's actually how they edge the sidewalks.
Yep. Is that what that is? I knew it.
They just crab walk sideways while helicoptering, and the sword just, real nice and clean.
I like it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, in this hypothetical scenario, because unlike other podcasts, we don't have to make up fucked up scenarios for people to like us.
Yeah, other podcasts who we won't name because we're friends with a lot of them.
Yeah, most of them, and even though they're super nice to us, fuck you. Yeah, making up stories to seem cool when we can just say, wouldn't this be crazy?
Yeah, fucking idiots. I'm not sure what we're doing.
No, me either. I was hoping you would take the lead. I was really hoping you would bail us out. But you just enabled me.
I'm an enabler. It's what I do.
And then you're like, sir, I just have a lot of anxiety over the fact that you told us one thing and First Sergeant told us something else.
Yeah.
He said that you're a dummy and that you don't know what you're talking about because we're a terrible unit.
You should just come to him and be like, "Sir, what does incompetent mean?" Because that's what First Sergeant said you are.
Yeah.
And then just stare at him.
And the only thing worse than a bad officer is a bad officer in charge of turds like you. Get on your face.
Everybody's so miserable.
Now, do you remember the CO and the First Sergeant from your very first unit?
Yeah.
Who would win in a fist fight?
Oh, the First Sergeant for sure.
Really?
For sure, yeah.
I would have to agree with you for my first unit because although my CO, he's a very capable guy, and I've never seen an out of shape Marine officer, particularly infantry.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw a major who was a little stocky, but he was getting med-stepped for injuries in combat, so I won't hold that against him.
That makes sense.
But I've never seen a Marine infantry officer that wasn't like a beast,
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
But the First Sergeant was a career scout sniper and probably had him by like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how his big ass was crawling around not getting noticed.
I like to think the enemy is like, is that a sniper? Nah, he's too fat.
No,
There's no
he's
way.
too big.
They'd never do that.
Bro, that's like when I met Marcus Luttrell in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell that story on the podcast?
I don't think so. You sent me the picture. I don't think
Oh my God, I met Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Google Lone Survivor.
Right, exactly.
And
or
then
just
Marky,
Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah, and then Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah.
You also need to know about that for context.
SEAL Team Funky Bunch.
So when Mark Wahlberg went from the Funky Bunch to playing Lone Survivor, you could really appreciate his transition and his growth as an actor. So I'm flying back from my trip to Honduras to work with Warfighter Scuba, and I'm in the Pittsburgh airport, and I see a guy that looks just like Marcus Luttrell.
Which could have been his identical twin brother, who was also a SEAL. So
Well, don't get ahead of me.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
And this guy's massive. He's like 6'5", like 260 pounds.
He's a huge dude.
Yeah, he's like just massive. And then I looked next to him, and then there was another guy who looked even more like Marcus Luttrell. And I was like, 2 Marcus Luttrells.
That's too many.
And then I was like, wait a second, he's got a twin brother.
Yeah.
And so I walked up to him and I was like, "Excuse me, sir." And we were at the airport, Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
And I was probably about 10 feet back because I know any combat vet 6 feet around you at all times is a dojo.
1,000%. Yeah.
So, and him being, him, made that 10 feet.
Absolutely.
He's a big guy.
He has a Navy Cross. You give him 10 feet.
Yeah. And so I was like, "Excuse me, sir." And he like whipped around with murder in his eyes.
Of course, as he should.
And I was like, "Sir, excuse me, are you Marcus?" And he's like, "Yeah, brother, what's going on? Put it there." And he shook my hand.
That's good. Yeah.
And we get to talk, and I was like, "Yeah, I run some social media, I do Pop Smoke." He's like, "Yeah, I've heard of you," and I was like, "Oh my god!"
And they just like skipped away.
And so he was massive. We took a selfie together, and I sent it to you. Like, I look like his kid brother.
You immediately sent it to me. You're like, "Look who I just met. He's still standing next to me." Like, maybe talk to him.
Yeah, I think it's kind of rude.
Yeah, exactly.
I asked if we could FaceTime. He said no.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sending this to my buddy who's an RP. He's like, "What's an RP?" I'm like, "Yeah, that makes sense." That adds up.
Yeah. And I was just like, yo, how does this big-ass dude get through swim training?
Oh, yeah. Some of the squeals I know, they're on the larger side. I think the same thing all the time because, like, all their training is endurance in the water and running and stuff. It's like, how did you make it through buds? There's no way. Like, you're too big.
Just like physically too big. The amount of calories you would need to sustain yourself.
Have you ever seen the SEAL delivery vehicles? Those little subs that they shoot the operators in? Yeah. They are tiny. No time for fat SEALs.
No, I know exactly what you mean because I've seen some of them do like the Zodiac boat PTs.
Yeah.
When I was at my my last base, and it's just kind of funny because you'll see the ones that are like 5'2", and then the ones that are like 6'5".
Yeah.
And so the ones that are like 5'2" have like their arms like fully locked out over. And for those of you who can't see us, I'm doing the motion.
His arms are fully locked.
Fully locked.
Yeah.
Like my pull-ups should have been.
I assume you did perfect pull-ups.
Oh God, no.
Oh wow.
I got these long gorilla arms, which is great for fighting, terrible for pull-ups.
That's why I like my short little dainty arms because I can do a lot of pull-ups.
Yeah, masturbation.
Yeah, for sure. That's what trains me. It trains me to do pull-ups. Gives me grip strength.
Switch off.
That's right.
And yeah, so this dude's massive, and I'm like, yo, how the hell did you make it through like sniper school and all this other stuff? Which is like when we were talking to Kyle Carpenter, Hard Flex Melvon recipient on our last podcast.
NBD.
Download it.
best-selling author, and our best friend, I dare to say.
Yeah.
He won't return my calls, but whatever.
No, he probably won't ever talk to us again. But no, he's a sweet guy.
Super nice guy.
But he was a saw gunner.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, littlest guy, machine gun, Marine Corps mentality.
Yeah.
And it's like, biggest guy, clandestine.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We need you in a ghillie suit and just to perch up on that mountain. That's it.
With Marsoc.
With Marsoc.
Marsoc in the mountains.
It's so funny. I was telling that, like, I get a lot of messages about that. I think that's a really funny line. But it's funny because, like, that's a story that happened to me, and I don't think about it enough. But if I take myself out of that situation, that is a really funny story. Like, my buddy, who's the RP for your unit back in the day, he told a story about how they were in some building, and, like, the streets were getting restless with a bunch of people, and he actually got the order to fix bayonets, which is like the most fucking badass thing I've ever heard. Nothing happened, but they had the order to fix bayonets. And I bring that up to him every time I talk to him. He's like, it's so funny. I never think about that. I was like, I think about it every day of my life. You had the order in Iraq to fix bayonets. That's the most boss thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, that is pretty dope. Unfortunately, my first deployment, I had a saw. My second deployment, I had a M16 203.
Yeah.
So there's no possible way to fix bayonets.
Just tie a K-bar at the end of it.
Yeah, no, I just carried a machete on my hip.
That's right. Yeah.
Machete. And I mean, Danny Trejo, the actor.
Yeah.
He's not a very tall guy, so I had him in a drop pouch.
Always ready. Always ready to unleash Danny Trejo.
Like you see, like the Israeli SF guys who have the canines and like the sling pouch.
Yeah.
They sling their assault dog.
It's just Danny Trejo just with a machete, just covered in tattoos, just waiting to be unleashed.
Yeah, I just have to slip him the jalapeno cheese spread.
Absolutely. Well, he doesn't. Yeah, Danny Trejo doesn't work for free. Although you would think from his career as an actor, some of those movies definitely he did for free. But did you know? Speaking of randomly Danny Trejo, do you know he has a taco shop in L.A.?
No, we have to go.
That's what I said. First time I heard that, I was like, I'm on my way, Danny.
And we'll get there, and he's just like, you think I like
yeah.
cheese with jalapeno?
Yeah, and then he just slices both their heads off.
Yeah, which Puerto Ricans are not known for our spices. So
right.
People are always like, what, you're Mexican? You like cheese spread with jalapeno? And I'm like...
I think the only person that calls you Mexican is AJ.
Yeah, probably. No, I would get a lot, particularly when there would be the race wars in the old unit.
Right.
Like, you know, all the black guys and all the white guys would, you know, get into it. And usually well-natured.
Usually. So there was always that one big corn-fed dumb fuck who takes it too far.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And then the one dude who grew up in the projects.
Yeah.
You know, who... is not willing to hear that shit.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's part of what makes the military so beautiful is the diversity. We would go and visit each other's hometowns on extended weekends, 96-hour Liberty blocks, and we'd really get to see different walks of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, whenever that would happen, or, you know, they're talking about, like, oh, you know, who's the greatest basketball player of all time, Larry Bird, or... you know, Michael Jordan.
Larry Bird, but go ahead.
And then all the white guys would be like, yeah, Sharp, your last name's Sharp. You have blue eyes, you're clearly white. And then all the Hispanic guys and black guys would be like, no, I used to live in Puerto Rico. Your mom's Puerto Rican. You're over here with us. And I'm like, nobody wants me until there's a race war.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, I'm not white enough for the white people.
Right.
I'm not tan enough for the beige people. Like,
who will claim Dan?
Nobody.
Before a race war.
Yeah. And so we've had a lot going on recently in the country, and we wanted to take the opportunity to say that the military kind of makes you look past through a lot of those things. And so you may not personally feel that there's a problem or that anything's going on, but with all things, it's important to be considerate of other people's opinions. And we're all very aggressive. We're all the kind of people who like to state our opinion and no bullshit and stuff like that. So when you are having debates with other people, which you should always try to remember that it's a debate, it shouldn't be an argument. The purpose is to learn information. Or, you know, share your information with people who don't have it. And so these people don't know you. They don't know how you come off. They don't know your tone, especially if it's through text. Mm-hmm. They don't know if you're being sarcastic or aggressive or what tone, because you usually read things in the emotions you are currently in. Yeah, absolutely. It is funny. I'm gonna say my piece on it real quick.
Yeah, sure. I'll let you dive into it. But when it comes to what our society is going through, and like you said earlier, this happens like every 4 years, so it's not going away. But I think a lot of the people who are so one side or the other when it comes to like their beliefs and They usually have hate behind their heart when they say stuff. I mean, that is the definition of privilege. Like, people who say, like, well, it's never affected me. Well, it's not about you. Like, none of this is about you. And if you're taking it to heart, trying to make it about you, then that is the definition of privilege. And I feel like a lot of people are blind to that. They're just throwing their privilege out there and saying, well, it's not affecting me or my family or my friends, so why should I care about it? You don't have to care about it. You just don't get to speak on it.
I get that. And there are people out there that they're like, well, I've had a hard life too, and that's not what it means. And so if anybody kind of has an impulse to turn this off, then just at least hear us out before you make a decision.
Yeah, I'm done talking, but go ahead, Dan.
And so my mom, being Puerto Rican, she didn't want to teach me Spanish because she didn't want me to have an accent because she had experienced racism from it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I grew up in poor neighborhoods. I've lived in battered children's shelters. I've had 3 different last names. I've had to walk my sisters to food banks to get bread. Like, I grew up pretty rough. And so for me, going into a grocery store or convenience store, I always kept my hands out of my pockets. I always stayed in, the sight of cameras. Walking, home from doing whatever, you get pulled over by a cop and 3 more squad cars come on. That was just like, oh, well, this is a rough neighborhood. Like, I understand they're just trying to be safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, I had gone through all these things, and I never realized that at a time that, I was being profiled because of where I lived. And so instead of saying, like, oh, well, your argument is invalid because I've also been profiled, what I will say is that, no, I can understand where you're coming from. And instead of trying to make this, one side versus the other one, it's everyone versus prejudice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so find where you can relate to people and start the conversation there. Don't start the conversation with how you're different.
I mean, yeah, that's, again, I talked about this before we started, and I knew you wanted to dive into this stuff, but, me being active duty, there's only so much I can say about stuff, and then also, like, I don't know, I feel like it's all common sense. Like, this whole situation is common sense. Like, it stemmed from just pure hate. Like, something like this, I don't know. I don't know how some people can see it one way, even though the evidence is right in front of them.
Yeah, and we've had, half a dozen or if not more cops on the show, so clearly we're not anti-cop or anything.
I'm not I'm anti-geese. That's about it.
Anti-pulling out.
That's right. Well.
And so the idea is that, like, they say, like, oh, well, only a few bad apples. Well, the rest of that expression is a few bad apples spoils the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we will applaud those who have, stood against wrongdoings that they've seen.
Yeah.
And we'll say that. And then also to the fact where, when it comes specifically to the case of George Floyd, if I had done that to an Iraqi terrorist that we had detained, I would be in the brig.
Absolutely.
No questions asked. It would be a war crime. EGA revoked, war crime, like loss of rank, forfeiture of pay. I would be in the brig for the rest of my life.
For sure.
So the fact that he was an American citizen and was treated that way, you understand that. Now, granted, should people be throwing bricks at police horses? Absolutely not.
No.
Should people use this as an opportunity to sow chaos so they can, go home and jerk off about their mediocre life?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
However, the fundamental principle that America was founded on is that you are allowed to say when you're not happy about something.
Yeah.
So all that boils down to is if you have an opinion, you have to ask yourself, do you know who your congressman is? Do you know who your city council representatives are? If you're angry about something, do you know what specific law is in place that's preventing that? Or is it a departmental code? You need these pieces of information. You can't just send Facebook memes or Twitter snapshots and stuff like that to argue. You need stats. You need statistics. Like when I was up there with the toxic exposure bill, I can't be like, oh, well, this meme that I made says that, 47,000 veterans die a minute from suicide and we need to fix that.
Yeah.
Like, no, like you need information. And granted, I know the more you look into things, the harder it gets. With more knowledge comes more sorrow, more wisdom comes more grief. The more you start to pull back, you start to peel the surface back, you will discover that there are a lot of ugly things out there.
Absolutely.
But you can't turn a blind eye to it. And, sometimes I ask myself after, however many deployments, however many wars, like what do I still have to give in order to earn my place in this country?
Yeah, you should. I feel like the human race, the kind of the meaning of life is to give back. Like you should never stop giving.
Yeah, it's a long race, and just because you have sacrificed, you have served, doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't stand for justice when you see it.
I like it.
So, to reiterate, don't be a piece of shit. Support good cops, call out bad ones, and try to relate to each other where you can connect, because you get a lot further by trying to convince somebody of the merit of your argument than you will by trying to convince them that they suck.
Yeah, and it costs $0 to be a good person, even when it's not trending. Just do it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
And also, don't be so quick to believe everything you see on social media.
Fucking A, yes.
I know firsthand that people will post things and it would be the complete opposite of what's going on in real life.
100% yes.
So don't be so quick. And as we were talking about earlier, do your due diligence. If you see something that shocks and appalls you, do the research. Find out if it's true or not before you vocalize, because I think we should honestly normalize saying, I'm not educated enough on this subject to speak. Give me a moment to research.
I like it.
I think there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, I don't know about this enough to have an opinion, but give me a minute and I will.
I like it.
Because there'll be times where I'm I'm discussing something with someone. They'll bring up something. I'm like, hey, put a pin in that. Mm. And then 30 seconds of furious Googling. I'm like, okay.
And then you turn off Pornhub. You're like, what were we talking about?
Yeah. And then also that being saying, be careful of who your sources are.
Very true.
There's nothing wrong with asking somebody for their source. If they can't produce an authentic, reliable source, then their argument is it's a glass house,
Yep.
So, in addition to that, we also would like to thank Combat Combover.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for helping us with
yeah.
The sponsorship and helping this show keep going. We completely forgot to do a commemorative 69th edition, because I think this is our 71st episode now.
Oh, we missed
completely.
69.
That's how mature we are.
Yeah, exactly. And how dumb we are, because if we had remembered it at the time, we absolutely had done something totally juvenile and hilarious.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so that's fair.
I think that's more to the fact that I can't really count that high.
That's true, yeah. And I refuse to count, because counting's for nerds.
Yep.
Because it's math.
Remember, 8 times 8 is 64, and no numbers after that exist.
That's all you need to know.
That's all I need to know.
Look at you, doing just fine in life, not knowing math.
The only date I need to remember is November 10th, 1775.
There we go.
The Marine Corps birthday.
Came alive in a gay bar.
Okay, that was a Duffel Blog article.
What? Okay, I'm just saying. Do your research.
That's exact. Yeah. Oh no, I did my research, because I was getting tired of seeing that and the crayon jokes. Both of those completely unwarranted.
Yeah. The crayon jokes are fucking annoying at this point.
And especially the pick me girls that are like, oh, look, I'm a Marine. I'm chewing on a crayon. Yep. Like, I'm so dumb. Like, really? Like, have some self-respect.
Yeah, for God's sakes.
You are part of the few and the proud.
Quit TikToking. Just stop it.
I like TikTok, though.
The app, I've seen a lot of hilarious and again, it's Vine reincarnated, and it makes me happy that there are this many creative people out there putting out quality, funny, or informative content. But if you're trying to be sexy in uniform over a fucking song, just stop. Just stop it. It's annoying.
Yeah, just try to be sexy without a shirt like Mike does.
That's right. Yeah, you don't see me thirst trapping with my uniform, because I take my shirt off to do that. I really don't think I do. I've owned up to this. I take pictures in uniform a lot because I'm in the military and I wear a uniform.
Yeah.
But the day you see me doing like a transition into uniform on a TikTok is the day you can kill me, because I've been dead for years.
I've been dead inside.
1,000%. They will never. I can't stress this enough. I don't like the way they're doing it. I'm all about creating content, especially military-based content. We've designed a whole platform behind that. But the second you try to use it to act like you're superior, or to try to be sexy, or just something disrespectful to the uniform, then you need to take a step back.
I personally think that we should abolish all uniforms that aren't utilities.
I agree. We should all look like janitors.
I know this will be a bit controversial, but with the exception of getting drunk in Las Vegas and my dress blues, there has never been a good experience that ever came from any of my uniforms that weren't camouflage.
Interesting.
Because think about it. When do you wear your alphas?
When you're in trouble.
Yeah. When do you wear like your service Charlies?
Fridays?
Fridays, for duty, for change of command ceremonies.
Yep.
Like, the whole service uniform is bullshit.
I agree.
Like, the fact they're like, well, what are you going to wear for a ceremony? Why are we doing ceremonies? Like, why is there so much pomp and circumstance? Like, we're a killing force.
Yeah.
Why do I have to go out there and dressed? You saw how fucking lame that sounds?
It is lame.
This isn't the Civil War anymore. That's another point. I think people kind of forget the fact that, like, 600,000 white men were killed and maimed ending slavery, but
all right. Here this goes.
A lot of people forget that.
I've never forgotten it, and I don't bring it up ever.
Well, yeah, because people immediately assume that you have some agenda behind it.
It's true. I feel like anything.
Yeah, that's why when people are fucking with the National Guard and the Army and the protests, it's like, do you not realize those are the people who ended like slavery in this country?
Yeah.
It wasn't some fucking TikToker or some fucking hippie with a beanie. Like, it was a motherfucker with a bayonet.
Yeah. That
captured a fucking an enemy position.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we kept the Union whole.
Abolish TikTok.
But yeah, like, why the fuck are we doing so much ceremony and so much fucking shit that you need to wear uniforms for?
I don't know.
Like, the amount of time that I spend polishing shoes and fixing ribbons and stuff like that, could I have dedicated that to my craft?
Sure, absolutely.
Could I have dedicated that to personal development or leadership training?
Yeah.
Like, why are we doing all this? It just doesn't make sense.
I don't know, man. I don't like it any more than you do.
Like, I don't like the idea that military does parades and stuff. Like, to me, it just seems unnecessary.
I don't know. There is a lot of just of the military culture and culture in America as a whole. There's a lot of hero worship that goes on, and I absolutely feel like you should appreciate and support your police force, your firefighter force, your military, all that stuff. But because you wear a uniform and you look sharp, doesn't mean you're a hero. Doesn't mean you're a good person. You're usually a pretty bad person. I know a lot. Some of the worst people I've ever met in my life are in the military, and they're not even good at their job. So, and those are
totally.
And those are the people who are, TikToking and fucking going home telling war stories that never happened. And I don't know. I just
posting a car selfie in uniform with saying like, oh yeah, despite all the haters and stuff like that, I continue to be really the fakest person ever.
Exactly.
And all the people in the comment like, yeah, you're amazing, you're a wonderful
right.
person. Like, no, bullshit. You don't know who that person is.
Exactly.
Like,
they're usually a bad person. Anybody who needs to drive a narrative of how good of a person they are on social media, they're probably a bad person in real life.
Yeah, I think the majority of our social media is us talking about how big of a piece of shit we are.
Exactly. I come on this podcast and I talk about my dick for 60 minutes, and then we put it out to the public. I will never sit here and say I'm anything more than what I am. I'm in the military and get paid to be in the military. That's it. I'm not a great person. I'm not a bad person, but I'm not a hero. I'm not somebody who deserves to be celebrated any more than any other person.
Well, I mean, there's a couple villages in Afghanistan that think you're the Grim Reaper. They may disagree with the fact that you're not a bad person.
Just because I told them that. See, again, I'm lying to villagers. I'm a bad person.
Follow me, though.
Yeah, follow me, though.
Let me get that Wi-Fi password. That would be insane. Like, can you imagine that? Like, you're doing a fucking push.
Mm-hmm.
I remember 2005, we're doing massive push on the Syrian border. It's like the third largest conflict of the entire war.
Mm-hmm.
And some dude had a TV on, and there was CNN covering the push we were doing.
Yeah.
It was one of the most surreal fucking moments of my life.
Yeah.
Seeing my unit on CNN while we were doing the push. And then somebody was like, get out of my way, and then muzzle thumped it.
Of course, yeah. Nobody's gonna stand in my way.
Give it up, and we're doing this my way.
Can't clear that song. Fuck.
And so, can you imagine that, like, being in, like, some Afghani's house, and you're like, yo, let me get that Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, it's fuck USA.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, really?
Yeah. Is that a capital, or?
You got any mirrors in here? Because I'm feeling muzzle thumpy.
That's right. As soon as the Wi-Fi connects, I'm TikToking this muzzle thump.
Gonna put a boomerang on it.
That's right.
And then somebody else record the Iraqi or the Afghanis reaction.
Yeah. That needs to be a YouTube. Afghanis react to their homes being destroyed by service members. Mister, why?
Oh, man. All right, so I think that's about it for us.
Yeah, I'm good. I need to turn the air back on here. I'm starting to sweat.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was just from the spiciness of the conversation.
No, it's from the alcohol in my system trying to leave. Like a ghost.
From the flu.
From the flu, yeah. I have the walking flu.
All right, so bye.
Bye.
If you have a batshit crazy story that you want us to read on the show, shoot us an email at info@popsmokemedia.com. Also, check out our social media. You can shoot us DMs there. Stay up to date on all the latest Smoke Pit news. Also, check out our merchandise at popsmokemedia.com. Give this podcast 5 stars. We'd appreciate it. And share it with your friends.